Hi everyone. Hello. Welcome to this session. My name is Abhilasha, and we'll be talking about CAT 2025. So I'm just going to quickly check if we are live. If you can see me and hear me, then just give me a quick yes or no. So I do know that we are live and audible and visible. Very quickly. The live streams are the. All right. I hope I am live. Oh, yes, wonderful. I am live. Good to see you guys. Okay, so today's session is going to be all about CAT 2025. This is the first session on VRC. So, we're going to be talking about the paper, we're going to be talking about the pattern. Like I've written here, we'll talk about everything about CAT 2025, the VRC section. See, over the past few years, CAT has not really changed its pattern, but there have been a few changes here and there. So, what we will try and see is how has the CAT changed its pattern over the past few years, and what you need to do while you're preparing for your examination. So that is the idea behind this session. Let's get to know CAT, let's understand it, let's try and see where it is going. Okay, so I hope you can hear me and see me. I think I am visible and audible, guys. If you can just give me a yes or a no. Also, remember, guys, if you haven't yet shared the session, please share it with your friends and family. That's a request so that others can also uh, hear it. They can join. Also, remember to hit the like button, and also remember to subscribe to the session, because the minute you subscribe to this session, you are able to discuss things on the chat box. So the chat box is only a subscribers mode. So therefore, to chat with me or to chat with any of your faculty, please make sure that you're subscribing, and of course hit the bell icon so that you know that subsequent sessions you will be able to get a notification for. So that's a little bit about all the modalities. These have to be taken care of, guys. I hope you understand that. All right, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Abhilasha, and I've been teaching for the past few years for exams such as CAT, ZAT, and MAT. I have cracked CAT to VRC with a 99 percentile several times, and I hope that together you and I will be on this journey where I will help you to crack your CAT 2025 attempt. So that's the whole idea, that all of us should get together, should start preparing, and start focusing on your CAT 2025 preparation. So today's session is focused all about on the pattern, on sample questions, and how to do this entire preparation. If at any point of time you have questions, keep putting in your questions in the chat box. I will answer all the questions from the chat box at the end of the session, where we can discuss what you need to learn, how you need to learn, how you need to prepare. Now, if you have, I'm sure a lot of you have already seen the CAT 2023 paper. CAT 2024 will happen in November, so of course that you will see in November. But till now, I'm hoping that you guys have already taken a look at the CAT 2023 paper and previous papers also. So from that, what you would have understood is the pattern of the exam. Now, what is the pattern of the exam? If we quickly understand that, so CAT has three sections, guys, right? The first section is the VARC section. Then you have the LRDI section, and finally you have the QA section. Now the VARC section has 24 questions. The LRDI section has 20 questions, and the QA section has 22 questions. So we are going to be today talking about the VARC section, the VARC pattern, the paper, and everything. Now, if you're to look at CAT 23, I'm going to start with CAT 23 because that is the paper that has happened. 24 is yet to happen, so everything we will talk about will be in probabilities about 24 and about 25. So CAT 23 had two segments in the VRC section. All CATs have. So these two segments in the VRC section are divided like this. So you have the VA section and you have the RC section, right? 24 questions in all. 70% of the questions are from reading comprehension. So let us break it up. There are four passages that come. I will write it here. There are four passages that come in reading comprehension. Each has four questions. Okay, so 4 cross 4 is equal to 16 questions that come from reading comprehension. The remaining 30% are from verbal ability, including parajumble, summary, sentence placement, and odd one out. So, if from 24, 16 questions are part of RC, then the other 8 are from VA. Now, these are split over parajumbles, para summary, odd one out, and sentence placement. Now, this year there were two questions each for these VA types. Now, if you were to look at the previous year, guys, if you were to look at prior years, so what has happened is this sentence placement is a new type of question that has come in. Prior to this, sentence placement was not part of CAT. So, when did this question come in? It came in 2022. 2022, the CAT people took out the odd one out question and they added the sentence placement. Then in CAT 23, what they did was, so the CAT 22 was parajumble, para summary, and sentence placement, no odd one out. But then in CAT 23, what they did was, they brought in odd one out also and they gave two questions for each of these patterns. So then you have parajumbles, para summary, odd one out, and sentence placement with two questions each. So that is the breakup of your CAT, the VARC section. 24 questions split into 16 plus 8 questions. These 8 are 2 parajumbles, 2 para summary, 2 odd one out, and 2 sentence placement. In the CAT RC questions, there were 4 passages, and then each of these passages had 4 questions. So that's your breakup for the exam. Now, if you have to look at the CAT, we'll start with the RC section and then we'll go on to the VA section also. Now, if you have to look at these 16 questions, which are divided into 4 passages. Okay. Now, where are these passages coming from? What are their topics? What are the sources where they're coming from? So, let us understand that. So, the questions that are the passages that are coming are from broadly 3 areas. They're from sciences, your natural sciences, they're from social sciences, and they're from humanities. So stuff like arts, stuff like literature, okay, stuff like geography, polity, history, anthropology, right, sociology. All of these form part of your reading comprehension topics. The passages can come from natural sciences also, so physics, chemistry, biology, and so on. Earth sciences, everything is covered. All different types of topics are covered within reading comprehension. If you have to look at the length of the passages now lies between, I'll keep writing here. So the length of the passage lies between 450 words to 550 words. Okay, so that is the approximate length of the passages, between 450 to 550 words. That means about 3 to 4 paragraphs maximum. 3 to 4 paragraphs maximum is your CAT paper. Okay, so every RC will have 3 to 4 paragraphs comprising 450 to 550 words. The level of difficulty of the passage also ranges. Now, how do you identify what is the level of difficulty of the passages? I'm just going to erase all of this and I'm going to write it out again. So the level of difficulty of the passage. Now let's understand, if you were in school, right, you were doing passages that were mostly narrative. Okay, but now you do not do narrative passages. Now most of the passages are either persuasive, they're trying to persuade you into some sort of a thought. They're analytical, they're analyzing something, right? They're trying to describe something. So essentially, these are the type of passages that you're getting. They're either persuasive or analytical or descriptive. But these passages are all meant for university level students, right? You're all university level students. So the level of difficulty of the passages is now much higher. Earlier, if you were reading between, there is a very beautiful indicator of the level of difficulty, which is FK grade. FK grade is a way of measuring how clunky or how difficult to read a text is. It goes from 1, which is the easiest, to 20, which is the highest level of difficulty. So if you are to look at your CAT papers, what you will realize is that every year there is one passage which comes from level 17 to 20. So it is quite difficult. It is very, very tough to read. Then there are a couple of passages, two passages, which range from 10 to 16. So they're medium difficult. And there is one passage which is between 5 to sort of say 10. So that is easy to read. So in terms of readability, if you are to look at your CAT paper, right, what is the readability, you will realize that at least one is very difficult to read, two are very average to read, and one is very easy to read. So broadly, that is what the breakup of your passages are. Now, where are these passages coming from? Where is the CAT people? Where are the CAT people taking these passages from? So, a lot of the passages are coming from newspapers. Newspapers, not your Hindu, not your Indian newspapers, but they are mostly coming from international newspapers. Guardian is a very popular source. New York Times is another very popular source. Okay. Then there are other places from where they're picking up essays. For example, Economist is a source that these people really like. Aeon essays is another source that your CAT people really like. So these are a few sources. And then you have encyclopedias of geography, you have encyclopedias of philosophy, which are very popular with your CAT question makers, I'll say. So your VARC passages are split into this. Now, the idea behind my telling you all of this is that once you know where the exam is coming from, then you can start accordingly preparing for it in that manner. So, if I know that my passages are coming from eclectic sources, different sources, science, social sciences, humanities, they're coming from newspapers, essays, research papers, encyclopedias, then what is the kind of reading that I should be doing? I have to do eclectic reading, right? I must do eclectic reading, which means that I will read a wide variety of passages. Okay, so don't limit yourself to subjects that you like. Read anything and everything. That is the idea. Any beginner must read anything and everything. So that is the reading comprehension section for your paper. Now, every passage will have 4 questions in your exam, right? So there are 4 questions per passage. Now, what are the type of questions that you will find in your paper? Let's understand that also, because if you're looking at what kind of passages, we also must know what type of questions. So questions can be of many types, right? So you can have the very global questions. Now, the global questions, I mean, questions based on main idea, on summary, on purpose of the passage, on the title of the passage, and stuff like that. Things that without reading the entire passage, you cannot understand and you cannot solve these questions. So the main idea or the summary or the theme or central purpose, central idea or purpose questions are the first type. The second type of questions are specific detail or fact-based questions. Now, some of you will say, ma'am, now the CAT is not giving any fact-based questions. But the reality is, guys, that fact-based questions are very popular with CAT. Okay. And they do give you a lot of fact-based questions. Okay. Now, these fact-based questions are coming from a variety of sources also. But the type of the question has changed a little bit. How has it changed? You have to understand this. So how the questions have changed in nature is that earlier, while CAT used to give you direct questions on fact-based questions, they would say, okay, which of this is mentioned in the passage? Now what they do is they give you questions of true except and false except. So they will say, okay, each of the following is true according to the passage except. or each of the following is false according to the passage except. So the true except and the false except questions, right? I'm going to write it here. True except and false except are the type of questions that you are now getting in CAT for the fact based questions. The most popular type of questions, of course, are the inference based questions. These are the most popular ones. They are the maximum number of questions come from this. So, inference based questions, you are expected to read the passage, understand it, and then get your answers out from there. So your inferences or what you understand from the passage will require a lot of interpretation. Now inference based questions can be many. You can have direct inference based questions, so a line is given or some statement is given and you're supposed to infer what you understand from that, so that type direct inference. Then you can have critical reasoning based questions also. So how will you strengthen an argument? How will you weaken an argument? How will you find an assumption? So those CR questions can also be there. Now this is a type of question that's really, really popular in CAT now. Then you can also have the applied idea questions or the next idea questions. Now these questions are very interesting because they expect you to take what the author has given, understand it, and then further put yourself in the shoes of the author and then say what the author was trying to say. So a line from this passage may be given and they will ask you, okay, so if you were thinking like the author, which of these would you agree with given the circumstance in the passage? So that is an applied idea question. Now applied idea questions are also becoming very popular with CAT, and people really, there are lots of questions that are being tested in the examination. Okay guys, I hope I'm audible and visible and clear. So if you could just give me a yes in the chat box, that would be wonderful. Now, sometimes you also get vocabulary based questions, though vocabulary based questions have become less popular now. So let me strike it out. Okay. I'm just going to put tick against the ones that are really, really popular. Vocabulary based questions, rare, but you will get. In other exams, you will get. Then tone based questions, questions which expect you to understand the author's attitude about certain things and then again answer questions based on that. So applied idea questions are also part of your tone based questions because they will expect you to take what the author has said and then kind of extrapolate from his ideas and then choose what he would select or what he would not select. So these tone based questions also may not ask you directly what is the tone of the passage or what is the what is the author's attitude here, but they would just expect you to take something from the passage, then apply your knowledge and understanding of the author's idea and then take it further from there. So your types of RC questions could be all of these. Now I do have one passage from CAT which I've brought for you guys. I'm going to quickly take you through that passage and then we will go on to the VA section also. So here is a very interesting passage. It was about colonialism. This is from CAT 2023. Very lovely passage on colonialism and the nutmeg curse. And let's try and see if we can understand something out of this passage. And there are a couple of questions that I brought, and I did not bring in all the questions because, of course, I did not want us to spend a lot of time on this. Okay, so here is a passage. I hope you can read it. I'll just give you a minute to go through this passage and then we will discuss it a little bit. And then, so I'm going to move myself out from the screen and leave you expect you to read the whole thing, but let's just hope that you did read a bit and understand it. So here is a question. Now take a look at this question. It says, on the basis of the information in the passage, so they've given you some information, which of the following is not a reason for the failure of policies? Now see how beautifully they frame it. Not a reason for the failure of policies seeking to address climate change. So he's saying that, okay, so this is a fact-based question, right? It is a fact-based question because it is expecting you to read something in the passage and then take it forward. And he says that there are certain reasons that are given for failure of policies that seek to address climate change. Identify the one that is not a reason for this climate change or this failure. Okay, so that is your question. And then you've got four options. One says the greed of organizations benefiting from non-renewable energy resources, the marginalized status of non-European ways of looking at nature and environment, the decentralized characteristics of renewable energy resources like solar power, and the global dominance of oil economies and international politics built around it. So you have to pick and choose which of the following are reasons. Okay, so A, of course, is a reason why these policies have failed. Uh, uh, B also is a reason why it has failed. D also is a reason why these policies have failed. So C, which is the only one which is not a reason, becomes the correct answer. So this is how you solve these questions. Look for the reasons and then eliminate them, and then whatever remains then becomes your answer. Look at the next question also. I'm not solving these questions with you just to give you an understanding of the questions. We will do this passage at some point of time later in the course. So which one of the following best explains? Now see, explains the primary purpose of the discussion of the colonization of the Banda Islands in the Nutmeg Curse. So he says, why has the author discussed the colonization of Banda Islands? What is the main reason why he discusses this? So now if you go back to the passage, he has said that the Dutch had systematically depopulated the Banda Islands. They killed the indigenous population. Also, they destroyed the indigenous knowledge. So the two reasons that he is given is that this violence was perpetrated against the original inhabitants. They were killed, so the population was killed. And along with the population, the knowledge of the connection between humans and nature was also killed, right? So let's take a look at the options also very quickly. We will just go through the options. So to illustrate how systemic violence against the colonized constituted the cornerstone of colonialism. So is he trying to show that systemic violence against those countries that were colonized, that was the cornerstone of colonialism? I'll put a star on this because see, the purpose of this discussion was not really to show the systemic violence, but because it was mentioned, I'm putting a star on this. I'll look at the other options also. To illustrate the first instance in history when the processes responsible for climate change were initiated. But do I know if it was the first instance ever? We don't know. Okay. To illustrate, so I am just going to put a star on this also. To illustrate the role played by cultivation of certain crops in plantation mode. So it was not clearly, the Banda Islands incident was not mentioned to show the role played by cultivation. So I'm just going to cut C out. And then look at D, which says to illustrate how colonialism represented and perpetuated the mindset that has led to climate change. So again, the purpose behind describing the Banda Islands issue was not to illustrate how colonialism represented and perpetuated the mindset. Okay, so between 1 and 2, I think 1 should be a better answer. But anyway, so that is how you will look at these questions. Okay. All right, let's come to VA. We have a lot of questions in VA in CAT also. And let's take a look at the VA questions. So there are 4 questions of VA. Like I said, there are 8 questions in all of VA. These come from para jumbles, para summary, odd sentence out, and sentence placement. So let us look at each one of these, and I'll give you a brief about how to solve this also. So Parajumbles, let's look at a parajumble question. So here is a parajumble question. The directions say the four sentences labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, when properly sequenced, would yield a coherent paragraph. So you decide on the proper sequencing and then key in the sequence of the four numbers. So I've got four sentences. Here in cat would be a block, and you would be expected to answer this question like this. Some answer for what is the correct sequence of these sentences. So that is our task, to spot what is the correct sequence and then accordingly answer it. Okay. So if you were to look at these sentences, sentence one says contemporary African writing like the bottled leopard voices this theme. I know this theme has to have a reference using two children and two backgrounds to juxtapose to varying cultures. Chuvika Muka Ike explores the conflict, which conflict, and casts the Western tradition as condescending, enveloping, and accommodating towards local African practice. So you here are your three sentences. The third one says, however, their view. So I've got two clues. The however says there's a contrast, and their view says there's a person we are talking about. Contradict the reality, for a rich and sustaining local African cultural ethos exists for all who care to see and experience. And then the fourth one says Western Christian concepts tend to deny or feign ignorance. So, okay. So here are four sentences, and your task will be to arrange this. So how are you going to arrange these sentences into a sequence? Remember, parajumbles. Now here, one very good thing is the options are not given in CAT. So this is a theta question. Now in CAT, guys, there can be two type of questions that you will encounter. Those with options, which are called MCQs, and those without options, which are called theta. The MCQ questions have a +3 -1 marking. So there is negative marking. In the theta questions, there is just +3. So no negative marking there. Now, how do you solve a parajumble? So when you're solving a parajumble, I'm sure you noticed that I was marking certain words. I marked this theme, I marked the conflict, I marked however, and I said that there will be a contrast. I said their views is referring to whom. Then I said Western Christian concepts, and then I said, oh, they ignore indigenous African tradition. So there are certain words which will go together. There are certain clues which you will be able to find. Something as simple as the fact that full names come first. After that come first or last names. And after that comes the pronoun. So if at all you get a pronoun at any place, you know there is going to be a reference to that. So for example, the minute I had seen this theme, I wanted to look for the theme. I wanted to check a sentence which would connect with another sentence where the theme is given, right? So therefore, I look for clues like this. Then when I said this sentence 3 said, however, so I know whenever there is a but, yet, or however, there are two contrasting sentences that come. So I'm looking for the contrast. So what sentence will contrast with sentence 3? I'll try and find that. And then I will build that connection. Of course, in the parajumble session, I'm going to discuss all of this in great detail. We'll look at questions also. But for you to understand that this is a type of question, this is a very good question, must attempt, of course, because it has no negative, but also because these are questions which are very nice and you can find a sequence and then create your sentences. So that's your first type of VA question. Your second type of VA question is the para summary. Now, of course, in the para summary, you're given a paragraph and you're given 4 possible summaries. The good thing is you don't have to write the summary. You only have to choose the right summary. So that is a good thing. So small paragraph is given from 80 to 120, 125 words. So 4-5 lines, and you have to choose the most accurate summary. So the idea here is that you read the paragraph first, and then in your own mind, you create a summary of it. How do you create? Every sentence, write down 1 keyword or 2 keywords. So I've got sentence 1, I've got sentence 2, I've got sentence 3. Every one, I've got 2-3 keywords. Now put them all together and then start looking at the options and see which one will match or which one won't match. And then that's how you will spot your answers. Of course, there are many clues, many helping ideas. Of course, you will learn how to eliminate options. We'll try and do it through the beast method, of course. So take a look at this. So this says the passage given below is followed by 4 alternate summaries. Choose the one that best captures the essence of the passage. And then a passage is given here which says, gradually life for the island's birds is improving. So we start with life improving for the birds. Arctic prions and white-headed petrels, which also nest in burrows, had managed to cling on in some sites, while pests were on the island. So earlier they were pests on the island, now they aren't. So life is improving for the birds. Their numbers are now increasing. It's fantastic and so exciting, Shaw says. As birds return to breed, they also poo. This adds nutrients. So the birds are breeding, they're also pooing. The poo is adding nutrients to the soil. Now the soil is getting nutrients, so the plants grow back stronger. Then the plants help the burrowing birds hide from the predators. So it's this wonderful feedback loop that you have. So the pretty paddock that Houghton first experienced has been transformed. The tussock is over your head. You're dodging all these penguin tunnels, she says. The orchids and tiny herb that had been protected by fencing are now everywhere. So essentially, this passage is about an island where probably some predators were there and they were killing the birds. Now suddenly the predators have gone, the pests have gone, so the birds are able to live, the birds are able to breed and survive and poo, and the poo adds to the nutrition. So it's a very beautiful feedback loop. So we've got that, and then we start looking at our options and seeing which one works, which one doesn't work. So very beautiful question. Every option, there's an increasing number of predatory birds and plants. No, we know that the predatory birds have gone. So one cannot be my answer. In the absence of pests, life on the island is now protected, and there's been a revival of a variety of birds and plants. Yes, this is quite what we were saying. There's a huge positive transformation of the ecosystem of the land when brought under environmental protection. Did we even speak about environmental protection? So no, it should not be 3. Flowering plants, herbs, and birds are now being protected on this wonderful Antarctic islands. I don't know if this is an Antarctic island or not. Anyway, just because Antarctic prions are there, does it necessarily mean it's an Antarctic island? I don't know. So I'll eliminate 4. So my best answer should be option number 2. So that is what the para summary question is all about. Let's look at the next type, the newbie. The new type of question in CAT, which is the sentence placement. So sentence placement, there is a sentence that is given to you. There's a paragraph with 4 blanks that are given to you. You spot which paragraph, which place this sentence is going to be. So see, here is a sentence which is given. Okay. And then here is a paragraph which is given, and you're supposed to spot where this sentence is going to go. So is it going to go in blank 1 or in blank 2 or in blank 3 or in blank 4? Now you could treat this as a fill in the blank sentence, or you could treat it as a pseudo para jumble. So what is a para jumble? There are 2 sentences or 3 sentences. You have to arrange them in an order. So imagine that this is one sentence. This is your second sentence. See if they make a pair. If they make a pair, then 1 is the best place for this sentence. If that doesn't happen, then try and put this sentence here in blank 2 and see if the previous and the subsequent sentence match up. So it could be like a para jumble for you. And it could be a very easy para jumble for you if you tried it like this. Some people will say, okay, no, I'm going to try it like a filler. But ideally, a good way of solving this question could be through the para jumble. So what you need to do for this question, take a look, see what arrangement can be, and then so let's read this and see if it makes any sense. For theoretical purposes, arguments may be considered as freestanding entities abstracted from their context of use in actual human activity. So the sentence is saying that theoretically you may consider arguments as something that's freestanding, that's not connected, and we have we've distilled this from how they are being used in actual activities. And then the paragraph says an argument can be defined as a complex symbolic structure where some parts, known as the premises, offer support to another part, the conclusion. Alternatively, an argument. So this first sentence is actually a starting point. It's such a beautiful starting sentence. So can I have any statement before it? No. So blank 1 automatically is out of this game. Let's look at the next line. Alternatively, an argument can be viewed as a complex speech, okay, consisting of one or more acts of premising which assert propositions in favor of conclusion, an act of concluding, and a stated or implicit marker. Hence, therefore, that indicates that the conclusion follows from the premises. Okay. The relation of support between premises and conclusions can be cashed out in different way. So here again, the sentences are so beautifully connected, the prior and the next one. So two then should not be a good starting point. Let's good is not a good point to place the sentence. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay, the next one will be the relation of support between premises and conclusion can be cashed out in different ways. The premises may guarantee the truth of the conclusion or make its truth more probable. The premises may imply the conclusion. The premises may make the conclusion more acceptable or assertable. But depending on one's explanatory goals, there is also much to be gained from considering arguments as they in fact occur in human communicative practices. Also, now we start talking about how these abstracts are coming into human communicative practices. So a good place for us to be placing this could be 3 or 4, right? But if you look at 3, the sentence number 3 was so clear. The sentence prior to 3 was so clear about the relationship between premise and conclusion, that the premise guarantees the truth or makes the truth more probable. The premise implies the conclusion. So it is all about the premise making the conclusion more acceptable or assertable. Okay. Now, then he says, but depending on one's explanatory goal. So here this both these sentences sort of fit. So then 3 should not be a place. So the best place to put our sentence would be probably blank number 4. Again, I'm saying it's probably. I'm not giving you a fixed answer, but this is how you would solve a question on on sentence placement. Let's look at the odd one out. Now, this was a sentence arrangement question where you have 5 sentences. One of the sentence doesn't fit, so you have to take it out. So again, this question can be done in 2 ways. You can use the parajumble arrangement method. That means you find those 4 sentences which will get arranged into sequence and one will be left out. Or you can look at the keyword approach. That is, you will look for the sentences which have the keyword, and whichever one doesn't have the keyword, you can just eliminate that. So let's look at the question also. Here is a question. So the directions are very simple. 5 jumbled up sentences related to a topic are given. 4 of them can be put together to form a coherent paragraph. You identify the odd sentence and key in the number of that sentence as your answer. So again, here are 4 questions. Bo Senior, who lived through the 2004 tsunami, the Japanese occupation, was the last native of the island chain who was fluent in Bo. The indigenous population has been steadily collapsing since the island chain was colonized and used for 100 years as a colonial penal colony. Taking its name from a now extinct tribe, Bo is one of the 10 great Andamanese languages. So we see the connection between this language, right? The last speaker of this ancient tribal language has died in Andaman, breaking a 65,000-year link. Though the language has been studied closely, Bo Senior. So now see, there are 4 sentences which are related to the language. Sentence 1, sentence 3, sentence 4, and sentence 5. So sentence 2, which talks about the indigenous population collapsing in the island, is the odd one out because that is not connected to the theme of the other 4 sentences. The other 4 sentences talk about a language which was dying, right? So then that here you are, 2 becomes the odd one out. How beautiful and how simple this question was, that you just spot the sentence that is the odd one out. Now, this is also something that has become very popular now in CAT and is appearing in CAT. So if you find, very beautiful question, in fact, for CAT. So these were your CAT questions. Now, if you guys have any questions, you can quickly tell me if you have any questions, and I'll quickly answer. In the meantime, I'll keep giving you a few pointers. Number 1, how to prepare or how to start preparation. We'll talk about this in detail also, but very basic idea that you start two things right away. Number one is reading, because all of CAT VRC is reading. Number two is vocabulary. These are the two baseline skills that you must have to prepare for CAT. So, what will you read? You can read any newspaper, you can read any articles. Okay, if you want, you can read some novels, some fiction, some non fiction, right? You can read anything. Number two, for vocabulary, you start building your vocabulary. So, whatever you're reading, find the difficult words that you cannot understand and put them all together. And then you can just, put those words there and just write down the meanings, synonyms, antonyms of those words, and there you will have a set of words which are difficult for you. So you can do the difficult words, you can learn synonyms and antonyms. Okay, if you have time, you can do phrasal verbs, you can do idioms. These are things that nobody will say that you should do, but these always, one, enrich your vocabulary. Two, they will help you in your reading comprehension, because a lot of the difficult words are part of good reading, are part of good essays. And so when you start reading, it will be very, very helpful. So number one, when you start your preparation, do a lot of reading. 30 minutes of reading every day is going to be very helpful, and 10 to 15 minutes of vocabulary every day is going to be very, very helpful for you, for anyone who's starting. Now, some of you will say, ma'am, is this a good time to begin? Yes, it's a good time to begin. Why is it a good time to begin? Because if you are right now probably in your pre-final year, I assume that if you're starting your preparation for CAT 25. So if you're in your pre-final, you have 3 exams to write now. So your semester exam for this year, 2 semester exams, and 2 semester exams for the next year. So that kind of takes out 2 months from your preparation, right? So it is September now, October, November. So you have exactly 1 year to prepare. Within this 1 year, the first 3 months, you can work on your concepts, right? The next 3 months, you can work on advanced concepts. Okay. The next 3 months, you can work on mocks and revision. And the last 3 months, you can work on booster workshops, right? And mocks. Okay. While you're on your concepts, you should do a lot of topic tests. While you're in your advanced preparation, you should do a lot of section tests. Okay. And then that's your preparation plan for the entire year. So if anyone is preparing for CAT and starts just now, you have taken the right decision. You have good amount of time to work on everything parallelly and in a very comfortable manner. So you will be able to take care of your preparation in a slow but steady manner. Every day, if you spend 2 hours, you will be able to take it to CAT in a beautiful manner. And that's what you need to do. Guys, do you have any more questions that you need to ask or that you want to ask? So I think I have told you a bit. I'm just quickly checking my phone for any questions that are there. So there aren't any, guys. All right. I hope all of you have liked the session. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back next week on Thursday. So these sessions are happening every day, but my session for VRC will happen every Thursday at 11 a.m. So if you have any questions, you have any doubts, you have any thoughts, feel free to post them. Okay. You can tag me. My name is Abhilasha. Okay. You can tag me. You can post a question for me. I'm also available on the Career Launcher Telegram groups and on all our social media. I hope you have already liked the session, shared it, and subscribed it. If you haven't, then please make sure you do it. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a wonderful week. I will see you next Thursday, 11 sharp. Adios, my amigos. Hasta la vista.